Noche UFC. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. Main event, Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko 2. Really looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on the card. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. And also note, I will be live for the entire Noche UFC fight card Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Do not miss the fight companion. And let's get into the fights. Starting the card off, ladies going after it. Josefine Knutsson versus Marnic, Mann. I like Josefine Knutsson to win this fight a lot here. Now, she is a victor on Dana White's Contender Series, but was not awarded the contract after that performance. Now, she has a very good mixed martial arts game. Her striking is solid, but she also has very good control, and she's able to outmuscle and outwork her opponents in the grappling positions as well. So the win here against Isis Veerbeek, it was a battle of two girls with solid striking backgrounds, and I feel like Knutsson, even though she didn't get rewarded a contract in that fight, there was positive things to take away. Her hurting her opponent in the first round badly. She does have dangerous kicks that I think could be a factor in this matchup here. On the side of Marnic, Mann, I feel like she's got a good pressure grappling game, has some good top control. I just feel like in the striking, she's outworked, and Knutsson, I think, stops the takedown onslaught of Mann. Note that Mann was brutally knocked out by a high kick by Bruna Brazil on last season of Dana White's Contender Series. I think that Knutsson could catch her with a high kick here too. I know that Knutsson didn't get that highlight reel finish over Isis Veerbeek, but there was an exciting moment in the first round. I feel like her control time in that fight was very good, and I think she can get a win here. I think KO. I'm going KO. Even though Knutsson didn't show great finishing ability on Contender Series, I feel like she'll be jumping into this fight with a point to prove. And I feel like Marnic, Mann's stand-up is not great. I feel like at times she's quite square. I'd say she has okay kicking skills with a rather lackluster boxing game. She is a southpaw, and like I said, she has good clinch pressure and takedowns where she can control her opponents. But I think that Knutsson is way more athletic, more technically sound in all areas of the game, and Knutsson should get the win in the first fight of the night. Wide favorite, minus 440 for Knutsson to Marnic, Mann, plus 340. I think it's a fun matchup. I'm glad that Knutsson's getting this shot inside of the UFC, and I think she's going to deliver here against Marnic, Mann. It showed that she deserves to be on the roster, and she should have got a contract straight off Contender Series. So Josefine Knutsson for the win in the first fight of the night. And one more note about that fight. She was supposed to fight Lucindo, which she took the fight on short notice. Now Marnic, Mann jumping in for Lucindo, who was pulled out of the fight. Yeah, Knutsson's going to style on her here. I think exciting debut underway for the All-Stars team member. Let's jump to the second fight. Charlie Campbell versus Alex Reyes. If you don't know who Alex Reyes is, he's the brother of Dominic Reyes, and he hasn't fought in nearly 6 years. Had a spinal infection, some injuries that have kept him out of the fight game. And he's fighting Charlie Campbell, who, has been fairly active as of late. Charlie Campbell's a good prospect, and I think he's going to win the fight here. Reyes has been out from high-level mixed martial arts for so long. In his sole UFC fight, he was badly knocked out with a knee by Mike Perry. Granted, it was up a weight class at 170 pounds, whereas Reyes is normally, his strongest at 155, but this is a long time ago. I mean, his last win about 6 years ago. It's been a damn long time since he's been fighting, since he's been active. And I look at Charlie Campbell training at the Longo Weidman team. You know that he's going to be capable on the floor. On the feet is where he shines. The dude is a powerful kickboxer that definitely can swing hard and was on his way to winning by knockout on Dana White's Contender Series against Chris Duncan. He was dominating that fight. Dropped Duncan with some uppercuts, multiple drops, and then he gets clipped with a beautiful straight shot and gets his lights put out. I feel like in this matchup, He's going to be able to stay striking. He's going to be able to shine. I can't pick an Alex Reyes who has not fought in years, who had a brutal knockout loss, who's been battling injuries. I don't even know the level Reyes is going to come back in at. We really have no idea. I'm going to say Charlie Campbell wins. Reyes' best way to win this fight is going to get it to the floor. That's where he shines. He's got a good arm triangle. Overall, his strangle game is good with arm triangles and rear naked chokes in the arsenal. That's where he'll shine. I just feel as though he's not going to get past the striking onslaught of Charlie Campbell. So I'm going to ride with Campbell to win the UFC debut. But we have to note that Charlie Campbell is taking this fight on short notice with Alex Reyes, initially booked to fight against Natan Levy. How does Campbell look coming in on short notice? Is Alex Reyes 110%? The lines are -400 for Campbell to +300 Reyes. I'm going to caution you guys to be very careful with the Charlie Campbell side. Not that I don't think he's winning. I do think he's going to get a knockout. But the fact that he's on short notice, the fact that Reyes has been out for a while, there are some intangibles and unknowns about Reyes, who's a very big underdog against Campbell, who ultimately doesn't have, the highest level win. Like, yeah, CFFC is a decent level. Yeah, he was fighting on the Bellator prelims, right? Alex Reyes is a wild card. So we're going Campbell for the win, but he shouldn't be a -400 favorite here. I think something like -200 would be more fair. I'm expecting Campbell to start fast, the ring rust being obviously evident for Reyes, and I do think Campbell's going to end up knocking him out. So we'll go Campbell for the win, but Alex Reyes is a wild card on this card. Next fight. Ladies going after it, Tracy Cortez versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. I'm going to be picking Jasmine Jasudavicius to win. I think she's clearly better than Tracy Cortez. She's going to be the stronger grappler and wrestler between the two. And I also think she has a striking advantage being, the slightly taller and longer girl. Ultimately, Jasudavicius is going to chain takedowns here. Cortez has relatively good wrestling in her own right and takedown defense. I like her double leg specifically. Doesn't have great finishing ability. Has had moments on the ground where opponents have gotten to her and, put her in bottom position. I think Jasudavicius is going to be prepared to outwork her for the 3 rounds. I don't think this is an easy fight, but Jasudavicius definitely has the bigger win, the Miranda Maverick win. And then obviously you see the loss there to Natalia Silva. That ain't looking that bad because she's solid now. Gatto victory, Quiche split decision, Edgar win, Vanessa Mello win. Then obviously beat Agapova on Contender Series. So, Jasudavicius, higher tier win. I feel like a streaking prospect coming in with a lot of momentum because Miranda Maverick is a pretty decent fighter. And I think Jasudavicius getting that win, more proven, I guess, at the higher level of the game. I feel as though her wrestling is better. I feel as though her striking can showcase in this matchup too. So I'm going to go with Jasmine Jasudavicius to win a decision over Tracy Cortez and outdog her. And Jasudavicius is an underdog. She gets slept on by the bookies a lot here. Opened at +145, currently sitting at +105 to Tracy Cortez at -125, the favorite. Give me Jasudavicius, give me decision win, and I do believe it's going to go over 2.5, which sits at -350. Just worth noting. Jasudavicius W in this matchup. I'm going for the underdog in this one. Next fight on the card, Edgar Cháirez versus Daniel Lacerda. Lacerda's on a 4-fight losing streak in the UFC. He's 0-4 inside of the octagon, and he is a guy that really has a round and a half in him at best, whereas Cháirez on the other side does have some losses. Note that he's never been finished in under a round and a half. He got finished late in the second round once. I'm going with Cháirez for the win. I do think that Lacerda's early storm is always scary for fighters to deal with. I mean, he was able to, get to Carlos Vergara in the last one and nearly knock him out in the first round. Victor Altamirano, there was moments for Lacerda where he hurt him on the feet. His striking game is really dangerous early on. He's an explosive guy. His fight IQ, though, being Daniel Lacerda, is on the lower end. Obviously 0-4 in the UFC for a reason. They're giving him another chance here, which is not normal for an 0-4 guy who, 0-4, no wins. Started it off as a prospect and really hasn't looked great. But because it's always entertaining fights, Lacerda throws caution to the wind and bangs. I'd say he's a damn good street fighter. But inside of the cage, you have to be prepared for fights going long. Whereas I know Cháirez is prepared for that. And I also think that he does have a pretty good defensive striking guard with a bit of a, somewhat boxing high guard. But at times he'll be sniper-like, but more so boxing high guard, using the lead hand range finder. Also feel like with Cháirez, we have to bring up, he does have a submission threat that he brings here, and a tired Lacerda could definitely be the victim of a submission loss. I'm thinking second round finish for Cháirez, potentially a TKO. Lacerda really lets it go in the first round, but I don't think he's going to be able to hurt Cháirez like he was able to with CJ Vergara in his last fight. Cháirez threatening on the feet a bit with the boxing, with some kicks, punches, and it all. Lacerda kind of letting the kitchen sink go, trying to look for the stoppage, and it all falls apart as we get into the second round where Cháirez takes over. I have written down sub or KO. I could see a ground and pound TKO, but I could also see Lacerda getting stunned a bit on the feet after fatiguing and Cháirez jumping towards a submission. So inside of the distance, Cháirez, and I'm feeling like it's going to be in the second round. Now for Cháirez to win, he's minus 205, the favorite, and then Lacerda sitting at plus 175 as the underdog. You can see under 1.5 is minus 180. It's a Lacerda fight. That's normally how it is with the books, man. They normally think it's going to end early because that's his style. He comes out like a madman in the first round. Does it go under 1.5? I think you're in like coin flip territory because I could see it heading towards the end of the second round and Cháirez finishing there as well. Could also be early. It's not impossible that Cháirez gets him out of there in the late stages of the first round. I'm saying that Lacerda, 4 fights down. As much as I like him, I actually enjoy Lacerda's fights. I'm going to be disappointed when he gets released off the roster because he's got a real fun style and he's got an emphatic knockout ability. But, dude, the fight IQ is so suspect, man. 5 months ago, CJ Vergara almost had the fight. Alto Mariano, Francisco Figueiredo, Jeff Molina, all finishes, too. I'm going to go Cháirez to get him because Cháirez looks like an absolute pit bull, giving Tatsuro Taira hell in their fight and finishing obviously super strong there, throwing the submission attempts up. And I feel like with Lacerda, I don't have that same type of faith outside of the first round. It's a knockout or bust, and Cháirez is not a guy going down easy here. So unless Lacerda catches him with the absolute perfect shot to put the lights out, I think Cháirez scrambles, gets back up to his feet, brings the heat to Lacerda and hurts him. It's very hard to outdog a Cháirez, and I mean, it helps that he's also nicknamed Pitbull, and I think for a reason. We're going with Edgar Cháirez for the stoppage win. Next fight on the card, we got Roman Kopylov and Josh Fremd. I think that Roman Kopylov is going to knock Josh out, man. I picked Josh last time out against Jamie Pickett. He was able to use that physical strength and presence, back him up against the cage, control him there. But now he's taking on a Kopylov, who note is a master of sport in hand-to-hand combat over in Russia, which sounds fucking badass. And he's a badass guy. I think Kopylov is getting better as his career is going on in the UFC with 3 straight wins, all knockouts. He's also a southpaw. I'd call him a pretty crisp and poised striker who has a nice technical game and is willing to take his time. But when he does attack, he's really precise. He has scary kicks, man. And I think that's a factor in this fight. Body kicks potentially. His punches, I think, could be on display too. I know Josh Fremd is going to be a bit taller than him, 6'4" to 6 feet, but the reach is only 1 inch favoring Josh. And note that Fremd is much slower on his feet than Kopylov, and his striking game is not nearly as technical. I see Kopylov sniping him, putting his lights out. Knockout win for Roman Kopylov. He'll fend off the potential grappling attacks by the big Josh Fremd, and I think we're getting a knockout win, man. The submission threat I don't think is a factor here. Kopylov's going to stay on his feet and out kickbox him, beat him up. Minus 270 for Kopylov to Josh Fremd at plus 230. I got Kopylov for the win. I'm confident that he's going to get it done. Look at these wins for a second. Claudio Ribeiro, which is like a scary puncher coming in, and easy work, head kick knockout, epic KO for Kopylov. Soriano, who was a heavy-handed prospect, he whooped him. And then also taking Di Chirico out, the Italian fucking stallion. You got to like what you're seeing for Kopylov in the last 3. This Tresean Gore loss 10 months ago, I don't want to say it was a fluke, but the performances after that are making it seem more like it was. Beating Jamie Pickett's not, a bad thing. And Cedric was Dumas. And note that the Pickett fight, right? What is it? A week ago? 2 weeks ago? By the time we get to the fight, it'll be like, 2-ish weeks. 2-ish weeks out he was fighting. And Kopylov style, it takes a while to prepare for. He's a big step up in competition compared to Jamie Pickett. He's way more dangerous. And I don't think Josh Fremd is ready for it. I think he's getting knocked out. We're going Kopylov with the KO win. Fremd was knocked out on the regional scene by Gregory Rodriguez as well. And I think that the kickboxing of Kopylov is going to be on display. Kopylov, the master of sport, for the W. Featured prelim of the night. It's Lupita Godinez versus Elise Reed. Some scrambles of matchups have put these two together. I like the fight for Lupita Godinez. I think she gets a decision over Elise Reed. The side of Elise Reed is actually not bad, though. She's a light-footed striker who's got a pretty well-rounded game. I'd say she has a pretty nice kickboxing onslaught. She rips to the legs well, she punches fairly well, and strings combinations together with decent speed. Where I feel like I have no faith in Reed is in punching power, and in this matchup specifically, the grappling entanglements, the wrestling, to me, far favors Lupita Godinez. Being Godinez, her stand-up has actually improved a good amount. And I think her boxing in her last fight looked better than before. She does have some crisp hands, and she's got a bit of pop on her strikes. She's also the more athletic girl and a wrestling advantage too, which we'll see if she decides to bring that out and use it. I think she will. I suspect that she does. I'm going to pick Lupita Godinez to win a decision in the featured prelim here over Elise Reed. Now, the odds for this fight have Lupi at -375, a bit wide for my liking looking at the matchup as it is. I think that how I would really write the lines down is more like a 2-1, because Elise Reed is still a decent practitioner. Like, she's a decent fighter. Lupi should win by decision. So then we look at the over. -200 for the over. I do anticipate this fight going long. Godinez, I don't want to say she's got no finishing ability, but you look at the UFC wins. We got decisions galore over here. Elise Reed on the other side getting some decisions. She does have some stoppage losses, though. It's just Godinez hasn't gotten that stoppage capability in my mind just yet. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible for her to stop Reed, seeing that, Sam Hughes stopped her with some ground and pound, and then noting that, friggin' Thai prospect, what's her name? Loma Luke Boom was able to beat her up using some grappling. Lupi's definitely live for a finish too. So the over 2.5, I think, I don't know, could hit. Could hit is the word. Probably is not going to be the word I'll use. Could hit. But Elise Reed's been finished before. Lupi, not a fucking great finisher. I'll pick Lupita Godinez to win the fight by a unanimous decision as the official call. But yeah, the betting odds are too widely favoring Lupi. They shouldn't look like this, in my opinion. Next fight on the card brings us to the main. Make sure you guys smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. It's Fernando Padilla versus Kyle Nelson. I'm going to be picking Fernando Padilla to beat Kyle Nelson. Not an easy fight because Kyle Nelson is a game Canadian coming off of a nice upset win over Blake Builder, who was supposed to be a pretty good prospect. And Kyle Nelson's Muay Thai game from the outside is really good. He's experienced inside of the UFC at this point. He does walk his opponents down fairly well and holds his ground well too. Physically strong guy that obviously has a nice Thai boxing, striking style. His kickboxing game, I would say, is pretty solid, man. I like his movement. I like his punches, even though he doesn't have a ton of thud in him. They're decent shots, and he's got kicking skills as well. Quite mobile. I'd say he's got a good overhand right that opponent should watch for. Now, note that on the opposite side, though, Padilla is going to be bringing in a 5-inch reach advantage alongside of a 2-inch height advantage and just being the better striker from the outside. Padilla has very good straight shots, and he also has a pretty solid jiu-jitsu game. Now, both guys, I'd say, are capable on the floor, but note that Padilla has, some 10th planet jiu-jitsu under his belt. I think that he's also got a sneaky uppercut to watch for on the inside that he could catch Kyle Nelson with. He does have, being Padilla, a bit of an upright kickboxing style, but he uses the lead hand well. He'll throw straights down the line. He's got a nice kicking game. He'll attack the legs. On the feet, he does a lot of things right, and I like Padilla's win in his debut, taking out Julian Erosa. That was an awesome debut for him, and I feel like Kyle Nelson is going to struggle with the range difference. Could Padilla stop him? Kyle's durability is pretty dangerous, man. I know Padilla's got some stoppages, right? But it's not like he hasn't gone distance before, and we haven't seen a stoppage loss for a while. I guess Billy Q caught him like 3 years ago. Jai Herbert there. The decision over Jai Herbert does aid to my confidence for Padilla, or the decision for Jai, being a tall guy and Jai Herbert, and Padilla being a tall guy with length. Padilla by a knockout is live here. It's Noche UFC. I'm going for violence, bro. Let's call a knockout. Let's go knockout. I was thinking decision initially, but I'm kind of thinking a third-round knockout's possible here. We'll go Padilla. I think he can get the finish. I definitely think he can get the win. Minus 241 for Padilla. Kyle Nelson plus 206. A little wide for Padilla being, a bit of an underdog against Julian Erosa. I thought he would win there. I picked him as a dog there. And Kyle Nelson here in this spot, obviously coming through, as a dog if you played him last time out with Blake Builder. So we got two live savages facing off. I think Nelson will put up a good fight, but Padilla gets him. I called knockout for now, but decision or knockout is the truth. I want violence, so maybe I'm leaning towards the side of knockout in hopes that Padilla can put it together and knock Kyle Nelson out in a fight of the night type performance. I think he's getting it done. Padilla for the victory. Next fight on the card, we got Daniel Zellhuber versus Christos Giagos. I like Zellhuber here. The kickboxing from the outside is where I expect him to shine, but damn, bro, this Trey Ogden loss is like a shit stain in my mouth that's just sitting there because I don't love that L. Granted, the way he came back in the next one and really put it on Lando Venata, I was like, all right. Daniel Zellhuber's still a good prospect. He's got some abilities. Giagos is a guy that he does have some pretty decent hooks. He's coming off of a knockout win over Rick Glenn. I'd say he's got, pretty fair punching power, but he's going to be at a disadvantage of reach by 5.5 inches with a 3-inch height advantage favoring Zellhuber. I'd say Zellhuber's the quicker striker, the more mobile striker, the more athletic individual here, and I don't think Giagos has the wrestling game to get a hold of Zellhuber and bully him in the ground position. So I'm going to pick Zellhuber to win. I think decision. I know Giagos has been finished a couple of times as of recent, but when you dig into the opposition, Arman Sarukian, who's a blue chip contender, really, I was going to say prospect, but top tier as far as the top 10 of lightweight goes, Thiago Moises, who's a very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. Zellhuber should win this fight, but I think Giagos is going to be tough to get away. So I'm going to go Daniel Zellhuber on the judges' scorecards to beat Christos Giagos in this fight right here. Now, as far as the betting lines for this one, Zellhuber's minus 230, Giagos at plus 195. Listen, he's got the statistical advantages being the height and the reach, and then you got the age advantage, which adds, to the statistical advantage for Zellhuber. There's a lot of things in his favor. Add into the fact that at just 24, his rate of improvement fight to fight is going to be something that is potentially vast. Note that he fought 4 months ago against Lando Venata. I thought that was a pretty impressive win to take out an experienced guy like Lando and style on him in the kickboxing realm. And I think that Zellhuber is going to style on Giagos here. It would be epic to see him get the KO, but through the lower level scene, he's getting knockouts. When the shift in competition's gone upward, we got 3 straight decisions, obviously one being a loss. I'll pick Zellhuber to outstrike Christos Giagos and win a unanimous decision on the judges' scorecards in front of the fans on, a very special day for the Mexican people. So we're going Zellhuber for the W. Next fight on the card brings us to our featured bout of the night. It's Raul Rosas Jr. versus Terrence Mitchell. Note exactly what the UFC is doing. They're using Terrence Mitchell as an opponent for the Noche UFC card to build up an 18-year-old prospect that has good hype behind him. Listen, this is the Mexican prospect to watch. He's a young kid. He's about to be 19 now, so he's not going to be a baby anymore in the game here soon. I'm going to go Rosas to win this fight. I do think he'll stick to Terrence Mitchell like glue and use his strong grappling game, to outwork Mitchell on the ground and eventually find the submission finish. I'm going to give you guys some notes about Mitchell, right? He is an Alaskan MMA veteran, so he's fighting on that Alaskan scene. We can dig into the competition. 4-1 fighter 4 months ago with a win there, 4-2 fighter before that. And then we're digging back 5 years, beating a 3-3 guy, and then taking out, a guy that's record doesn't even show up here in Travis Zenk. He comes back and Simon fucked him up. That was only 2 months ago. And I think that Raul Rosas' grappling game is going to give Mitchell fits here. I know that in Mitchell's own right, he's known for good submission skills with 8 submission wins, and he's got long legs with 8 into his grappling. He's got a tricky frame, but I do think Rosas can beat him. I don't feel like Mitchell looked all that UFC level. I don't believe it. I'm going to say that Rosas finds a submission here. He's coming off a loss over Christian Rodriguez, who's a real good prospect. And before that, he ran through Jay Perrin, who wasn't high level. Mitchell, to me, is not high level. And I think Rosas is going to be able to strangle him. I'll go rear naked choke submission as like the Mystic Max submission call. Now, Rosas is a -600 favorite. Listen, guys, I won't be throwing $800 on fucking Rosas. I made that mistake once before, betting like a degenerate, and that was a dark time. But we've definitely improved ourselves since then. I look at Rosas at -600, and this is what my brain says. Yes, he should win the fight. The odds are way too wide for a kid that's not even legally able to fucking drink alcohol in America yet. So your best bet is probably not betting it, not locking the parlay down with it. We'll see what the sub prop line is, and maybe it's a sprinkle. Right now, obviously, we don't have those. We just have an over-under. The over is actually +215. I kind of think that Rosas is live for a first-round sub, though. Rosas is 6-1, -600. Terrence Mitchell, +425. Listen, Rosas Jr. is a disgustingly wide favorite. Take away the betting odds. Let's not look at the betting side. I do confidently feel as though he will beat Terrence Mitchell. It's just about, does it actually happen? He's a young dude. I believe it does. Odds are shit, though. Way too wide. Way too wide. Rosas, he submits Terrence Mitchell. Mitchell also fought on Ultimate Fighter and got brutally knocked out by Cháirez during that flyweight season. Then obviously took a long hiatus before coming back. And now he's in the UFC. I think Rosas is going to beat him here. Next fight on the card is the co-main event. Kevin Holland versus Jack Della Maddalena. Guys, I love me some Jack Della fighting. It's fun to watch. But I think Kevin Holland is the kryptonite. I am picking Kevin Holland to win this fight. How does he win it? I'm kind of thinking club and sub. Jack Della Maddalena, I think on the feet, having a disadvantage in reach of 8 inches is going to be getting stung from the outside. That nose is going to be busted up, and Kevin Holland is going to find some precise shots, potentially jump on a guillotine, a darce, or a rear naked choke. I'm going club and sub. Kevin Holland, club and sub win. I think Jack Della is a great prospect. I love this fight. I think we're in store for an absolute banger. But Kevin Holland is dangerous as hell on the feet. He gave hell to Wonder Boy on the feet and hurt him in that fight. And that was a 5-round main event where Kevin Holland, maybe if he decided to grapple a bit, who knows? The fight's going in a different direction. Respect to the gentleman's agreement. Those guys just throwing down in the striking realm. I expect striking here for Kevin Holland to be on display, but when the time has to come that he's got to lock up a sub, that's what he's going to go for. Look at this. Submission darce choke over Michael Chiesa, who's a really good grappler in his own right. That was a month ago. Didn't take any damage there. Taking on Jack Della Maddalena. Bezo Hafez, I don't want to say he exposed him completely, but I think it really pumped the brakes on the hype train of Jack Della, at least for me. Bezo came in and gave him hell in that fight. Kevin Holland's reach advantage is a substantial factor in this matchup, and I think when you look at them striking, Kevin Holland from range is going to be landing a lot on Jack Della Maddalena. It's going to be hard for him to close that gap over the lengthy Kevin Holland without getting stung with big shots, and Holland is not a peppering puncher. He has legitimate knockout power and a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt to go alongside of it. Kevin Holland for the win, club and sub here. Looking at the odds, Kevin Holland underdog, +110. I'm going with Holland as the dog here. I think he pulls this off. Jack Della Maddalena, -130 as the favorite. I think Kevin Holland does this thing. Under 2.5, very likely at -165 too. Not really recommending throwing down on it, but just an idea, you know, just looking at it. +110 for Kevin Holland. The official pick. I think he's submitting Jack Della. It's going to be a club and sub. Holland right now, I think he's peaking. I think he's hitting his prime right now. He's looking better than ever before. And we give him a matchup that I think is very favorable towards him being a striker and Jack Della Maddalena. I think Holland is going to style on him. Love me some Jack Della. I still think he's an awesome prospect, but I pumped the brakes on him right now. And you can compare one opponent. Randy Brown had a similar frame to Kevin Holland. Randy Brown could not hold the jock strap of fucking Kevin Holland if they faced off. Kevin Holland would run over Randy Brown. Yeah, they got similar frames, but Brown doesn't have the power. Kevin Holland has the length, the power, and the submission threat and strength. And besides all of those things, the mental game. He's an extremely confident fighter. And I think that's going to get him the win over Jack Della. We're going Kevin Holland for the win. Upset. He strangles Jack Della. Club and sub, man. I'm going club and sub. Now, could he end up getting a knockout decision? Sure. Kevin Holland's the pick here. Money line plus money. Main event of the evening. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. It's Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko 2. I'm damn excited for this rematch. And I feel like this is a crazy fight because Grasso pulled off an epic win in the last one where Shevchenko throws a spinning back kick to the body. Grasso capitalizes, gets the back, gets the rear naked choke. I'm going to pick Alexa Grasso to beat her once again. But this time it's going to be cleaner than last time. If you note, Shevchenko did have success on getting to the top position, beating up Grasso a bit from that top position, specifically side control. Shevchenko's strong from that position on the ground. Grasso did have striking moments on the feet and was able to get back up to her feet on multiple occasions in that first fight. I think that Alexa Grasso can win this one better than the last one before. Note this, after you're 35 now, losing the belt, getting it back, the odds of that diminish. Just statistically, when you look, I mean, Kamaru Usman lost his belt in a fight where he was winning against Leon Edwards, and then you look at the rematch, how clean Leon beat him on the judges' scorecards. I think Alexa Grasso is going to win here against Shevchenko again. Gonna be hard to repeat that epic finish with the Mexican fans behind her. This card, I think she's bringing the fire out. I'm going to say Grasso takes it on the judges' scorecards in an action-packed war between these ladies where Grasso touches up Shevchenko a bit on the feet, is still threatened in the grappling positions and taken down. She finds ways up faster than before and does defend more of the takedowns. And I could even see her stinging up Shevchenko with punches. Hard-fought 5 rounds, one of those women's wars. They both put it all on the line, and I'm going to say Alexa Grasso beat Shevchenko more cleanly this time. Not just, you know, a submission where people will say, oh, it's a mistake and that's why it happened. No, it's Alexa Grasso getting it done by a decision, putting a stamp on it that she is the champion. I'm riding with the underdog. Note, Alexa Grasso, underdog, champion. I'm saying and still. Last weekend, Sean Strickland, underdog, beat Adesanya. The last pay-per-view before that, Sean O'Malley takes out Aljamain Sterling. Now, this is an and still underdog, but it's still plus money. And I think Alexa Grasso is going to prove to everybody that first fight was no fluke, and she's beaten Valentina Shevchenko once again. Now, looking at the betting odds, plus 140 for Grasso. Shevchenko, minus 160. I'm going for the main event underdog. I'm going for Guadalajara, Mexico. I'm riding with Alexa Grasso to pull it off over Valentina Shevchenko. She's going to win this thing, man. I think she's getting it here. This card's going to be epic. Noche UFC, Mexican Independence Day card. You couldn't ask for a better way to cap it off with Grasso getting the win in a back-and-forth war, getting presented that special belt for the Mexican champions. And still, Alexa Grasso, as an underdog, takes out Valentina Shevchenko and proves that she's really the baddest girl at 125. She's got some scary contenders coming up, like Mann Furo, Aaron Blanchfield, and I promise you soon we'll be talking about those matchups after this Saturday. Grasso for the W, beat Shevchenko a second time, and proves that she is the real champion. No fluke in that first one. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the breakdown. Make sure you smash that like button if you haven't. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Let me know what you thought of the picks in the comments down below. And if you have nothing to say in those comments, but just enjoy the content, as always, drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. I appreciate you all so much for tuning in to the show. And I'm looking forward to a week's worth of content. So make sure you got those post notifications turned on. Don't just leave them on personalized. Put them on all so you don't miss a video, because there's daily content here on the MMA Experts channel. Much love, everybody. See you all in the next one. Peace, guys.